Hello everyone, welcome to BI Consulting Pro. In today's video, we are going to discuss about tenant settings. In Power BI, we have various tenant settings available, and in today's video, we are going to discuss each of them one by one. So make sure you stay tuned till the end of this video. Before going further, please subscribe our channel if you haven't subscribed us. Me and Sue upload videos every week so that you can learn something new in Power BI and in Azure. So make sure you hit the bell icon and subscribe our channel for all the latest videos and updates. Before proceeding further, we should know what is a tenant. Basically, a tenant is a group of users who share a common access with specific privileges to the software instance. Now, probably there would be a question in your mind, what is an instance? Well guys, an instance is a single copy of the software running on a single physical or virtual server. If you run two copies of the software on the same physical or virtual server, that counts as two instances. So basically it should be taken care by the DBAs who maintains those servers and the different instances. And over here in Power BI, an instance means the part that you are using, that means the domain in which you are working, that is known as your tenant. Let's move forward. Now there are 18 types of different settings under tenant part. That means whenever you would navigate to Power BI admin portal under the tenant settings, you would find 18 types of different tenant settings, which you can see on my screen. In today's video, we are going to discuss each of them one by one. But before going into this, you should know that tenant settings enable fine-grained control over the features that are made available to your organization. If you have concerns around sensitive data, some of the features may not be right for your organization, or you may only want a particular feature to be available to a specific group. So all those kinds of settings you can maintain under tenant settings on Power BI admin portal. But before doing anything, you should also remember that tenant settings that control the availability of features in the Power BI user interface can help to establish governance policies, but they are not a security measure. For example, the export data setting doesn't restrict the permission of a Power BI user on a data set. Power BI users with read access to a dataset have the permission to query this dataset and might be able to persist the result without using the export data feature in the Power BI user interface. Also, keep in your mind that it can take up to 15 minutes for a setting change to take effect for everyone in your organization. Now, you should know that there are basically 4 different kinds of settings we are gonna see in today's video in almost under all the settings. The very first is disabled for the entire organization. That means no one in your organization can use this feature and we can just simply toggle the switch to disabled. Second one is enabled for the entire organization. That means once you are gonna toggle it and making it enable, everyone in your organization can use this feature. Third one is enable for a subset of the organization. That means if you want to enable it for certain users, then you can do that. And lastly, you can use a combination of both. Now let's head over to the Power BI service where we are going to open the Power BI portal. And in the Power BI portal, we are going to see each and every settings that are present over there under tenant settings part. So what are we waiting for? Let's get started. As you can see that I'm on my Power BI service account, and over here as usual we are going to click on this settings gear icon. Once you will click on this, there is an admin portal option available over here. We are going to click on this. And as you can see, all the settings are available under this admin portal panel. And here we are going to click on tenant settings. The very first settings comes over here is help and support settings. In this one, you will find the different settings over here, and which we can enable, disable, or we can use the combination of both, as we just discussed a couple of minutes back. Now, the very first is publish get help information. So over here you will see currently it's disabled, but if you want to enable it, you can just enable. And over here, whenever somebody is seeking some help, you can mention the different URLs over here. For example, in your organization, if you have already on SharePoint or somewhere else some documentation, you can mention URL over here, then discussion form, as well as licensing requirement or the request. For example, in your organization, somebody new is coming into your team and he has to start work on Power BI, but he doesn't have any license as of now. So generally what happens in big organizations, they already have a document placed on the LAN, that means on your SharePoint or at some other location, where they just need to update their details, and that request is gonna go to the admins, and where they are going to grant him the access or they are going to assign him Power BI license over there. So all those informations you can mention over here. You can either go for the entire organization or a specific security group, or even you can mention the except. That means you can use the combination of these two over here. So that's how we are going to maintain all the settings under the publish get information part. Second one is receive email notification for service outages or incidents. And here again you can do this enable or disable. Basically, it's saying over here, mail enabled security groups will receive email notification if this tenant is impacted by service outage or incident. In Power BI, generally, whenever there is a lot of load or any incident is happening, then Power BI can send you automatically an email into your email box where you can find what is going on, or is there any outage or any incident occurred because of which there is an impact on your Power BI dashboards or reports. Now, the third one is allow users to try Power BI paid features. This one is very important because generally we get the free license, and over here it's saying that users in this organization can get a free individual trial for upgraded Power BI features to try Power BI Pro and Power BI Premium per user features for 60 days. If this is disabled, then nobody can sign up or upgrade to a free license by themselves. If you want them to upgrade themselves, then you have to enable this feature. Otherwise, keep it disabled. They can request you and then you can assign, or your Microsoft 365 Admin Center account can assign them the different kinds of licenses based on the requirement. Last one over here is show a custom message before publishing a report. This one is very important. Whenever we are working on Power BI reports, we generally just directly deploy the reports without even thinking what's gonna be the impact of these reports on the existing reports. So in that case, this message is very important, and I always like to insist on this point that you should have a custom message, so that whenever a user is publishing any report, they get this message, okay, these were the checkpoints. That means, did you check all those validation points before publishing the report or not? Or did you consult, or did you send that for review or not? So you can mention everything over here. Again, you can use the different combination to whom you would like to. Now we are going to discuss about workspace settings. Under the workspace settings, the very first comes create workspaces. That means, are you going to allow everyone who is having the access to Power BI to create workspaces, or you are going to limit that access? So please do check this one in your case. Second one is use datasets across workspaces. Whether you want to use those datasets across your all workspaces or not, here you can control that. Users in the organization can use datasets across workspaces if they have the required build permission, but you can stop it over here as well. So it depends on what kind of policies your organization wants to maintain. And the last one is block classic workspace creation. So basically, the older version of the workspaces is considered as the classic workspace, but I would request you to just block it because there are certain features that you cannot use. Now we are going to move forward and we are going to discuss about information protection. Well guys, this is very important part. If you have watched my video on sensitivity labels, or if you have attended any of my web seminars, which generally I present with the different guys throughout the world, you should know what are the sensitivity labels and how they can be very helpful for your organization. And in that one, I have explained all of these settings. So please do watch those videos. I'll provide you the link in the description section as well. The very first is allow users to apply sensitivity labels for your BI content. Again, you will get the different settings. And if you are using the first time, you may need to set up your sensitivity labels, which you can do in M365 Compliance Center. Click on this and it would take you over there. But before applying that, they should be created in M365 Compliance Center, and also you should have a license for the information protection that we generally have through the Azure account. Now, second one is apply sensitivity labels from data source to their data in the Power BI. Again, you have these settings similar to the other settings you can apply, and you can read more about over here. Learn about supported data sources, and you will get to know which data sources are being supported by sensitivity labels. Third one is automatically apply sensitivity labels to downstream content. So whether you want to enable or disable, it's totally up to you. Then we have allow workspace admins to override automatically applied sensitivity labels. It's in preview. Please note that some of these features are in preview. They are not generally available. Maybe after some time they are going to be generally available. Then you can use them permanently. But under preview means they can or they cannot be generally available. Under this, it's saying with this setting enabled, Workspace admin can change or remove sensitivity labels that were applied automatically by Power BI. For example, as a result of label inheritance. So what is label inheritance? Basically, it works like if there is a sensitivity label on your data set, and then you are creating a report based on that data set to another one, then automatically that sensitivity label would be applied into your new report as well. Lastly, there is another setting that is restrict content with protected labels from being shared via link with everyone in your organization. Again, you can make it enable or disable. It's completely up to your requirements. Now we are going to discuss some of the most important tenant settings over here in Power BI, that is export and sharing settings. Generally, whenever we are working on Power BI reports, we have to share the reports with some other users into our organization, or maybe in some cases we have to share them with the outside organization vendors or the clients. Also, sometimes we need to download or analyze those data as well from Power BI datasets. So in that case, these settings are going to be very helpful. The very first is allow Azure Active Directory guest users to access Power BI. Many of you have asked me so many times how to add a guest user, how to share a report with some of your clients who's not on your tenants, that means not in your domain or in your organization, how to do that. So this is the setting is gonna be very helpful over there. If it's enabled, then you can add them into your Azure Active Directory as a guest user. And once you are gonna add them, after that you can directly share reports with the other users who are outside your organization but has been added using AD Azure Directory into your account as a guest user. Second one is invite external users to your organization. It should be enabled. If you really want to invite them to your organization, you can directly share with them. They would receive an email link, and once they are going to click on it, you will get a request, and then you have to add them into your Azure Active Directory. Third one is allow Azure Active Directory guest users to edit and manage content in the organization. It's simple from its statement itself. Rest you can read it over here. Next one is show Azure Active Directory guest list of suggested people. It's up to you whether you want to enable or disable. Publish to web. This is another very important setting over here. Because in some of the cases we don't have any sensitive data and we want to share it with the external users. This time you can use this and you have to enable it, but make sure you are not going to publish any sensitive data on those reports. Reason being, once you are going to publish on web, any guys around the world who has the link of your report can access your report without any restrictions. And now there is another setting which is copy and paste visuals. I'll request you to just enable it. Reason being, whenever we are creating multiple reports, we have to copy visuals from one report to another. And sometimes we have to create a new report based on the old reports as well. Then it's going to be very helpful for you. Export to Excel, you can make it enable, because in Excel we can apply the sensitivity labels and we can analyze data in Excel. That's very important for almost all the organization, but at last depends on whatever your organization policies are saying. So make sure you adhere to those policies. Export to CSV. In my case, I'll suggest you please do not enable it. The very first reason is that you cannot protect your data in CSV file. Till now, Microsoft hasn't come up with a solution that we can apply the sensitivity labels to CSV files. Download reports, I'll say you should enable it, because many of the cases people needs to download the reports from the portal. But again, you can mention either a specific group or you can remove some of the guest users. Depends on your own requirements. So please make sure whether you are going to enable it or disable it, but it should be based on the company policy. Allow live connection. You can enable it, disable it, but basically it's for the users in the organization can use the Power BI service live connect. This includes analyzing Excel. So you can directly download the Excel files, like over there in the data sets or in the reports you will find an option analyze in Excel that is basically connected using live connection with your data set. And then people using Excel file can directly analyze the data using Power Pivot over there, and they can help themselves. Export report as Power BI presentation and or PDF document. Basically, whenever you are on Power BI service, you have the option whether you want to download it or you want to get it in PowerPoint or in PDF format. It's gonna be maintained from this setting. Next, we have the settings for export reports as HTML document. You can enable, disable, again up to you. Then there is another settings for Word document. You can also enable or disable, up to you. Then we have export reports as XML documents. So whether you want to enable or disable, it's up to the requirements that you are working on, and you have to make sure you adhere to the company policies. Export reports as image files. It's currently in preview, but you have to read that users in the organization can use the export report to file API to export reports as image files. So make sure you read this completely before making this setting enable. Then similarly, we have print dashboard and report, whether you are going to allow to the users to print the dashboards or reports or not. It's also should be according to the policies set up by your organization. Next is the certification. My tenant settings, it's currently enabled for everyone. It's going to allow users in this organization to certify datasets, data flows, reports and apps. In my previous videos, I have mentioned already how you can certify your datasets, reports, or how you can promote them, or how you can endorse them. So all these settings is going to mention by this one. So you have to enable it. Then there are certain other settings like email subscription, featured content, allow connections to the feature tables, or enable Microsoft Team integration to the Power BI service, and lastly allow shareable links to grant access to everyone in your organization. So these are the couple of settings that you need to go through, and whenever you are enabling or disabling any of those settings, please make sure that you have all the information regarding the company policy and you discuss with your lead or any of the guy who's senior to you, and then only enable or disable these policies based on those requirements in the facts. Now guys, we are going to discuss about the discovery settings. Let's see what are the discovery settings. The very first is make promoted content discoverable. That means whenever you have endorsed your content and you have promoted it, promoted content doesn't mean that it has been certified. So whenever you have promoted your content, if you want everyone to see in your organization or a specific group should not have a look into that one, then you can make those settings over here. Second one is make certified content discoverable. Again, it's a similar. First, you have to actually promote your content, whether it's a report, data set, data flows, etc. Then after that, once it's going to promote it, then there would be a guy in your organization or there would be a person who is going to make it certified. Generally, it's the admin or the person who's your architect or someone who has that authority. They are going to make it as a certified one. So once you are going to promote it, after that, if it's good to go, then they can make it certified. And then the similar settings you can apply over here. And lastly, discover content. If you want everyone to see in your organization or a specific group, or a specific group should not have a look into this content, then you can do those settings over here. Next one is content pack and app settings. So we all know that there are so many content pack and apps are available in Power BI. For example, LinkedIn, YouTube, or even Google Analytics. You can use them, you can connect with your data, and then you can start working on that. So those settings are available over here. So let's see one by one what are these settings. One is publish content packs and apps to the entire organization. So whenever you are creating a Power BI app, whether you want to publish it for the entire organization or to a certain group, or you want to exclude a certain group, you can make all those settings in this first part. Second, create template organization content packs. Whether you want to enable or disable, it's up to you. Then you can do it over here. And lastly, push app to end users. In this one, users can share app directly with end users without requiring installation from the app source. That means once you are gonna create any app in Power BI, your end user or the user with whom you are sharing that app, they don't need to install it manually. It's gonna automatically install into their Power BI service account. Once they are gonna go to their apps, they can find it over there. Now we are going to talk about the integration settings. Some of the settings are very important, and we are going to talk over here about the XML settings as well. I have already created a video on XML endpoints connectivity. If you would like to have a look, you will find the link in the description section and somewhere above. So please make sure you go and check that video too. First is allow XML endpoint and analyze in Excel with on-premise dataset. If you want to enable it, you can do it. If you don't want, then don't do it. Then use ArcGIS maps for Power BI. So it's another map provided by ArcGIS company. So whether you want to allow it or not, it's up to you. Use global search for Power BI. Again, enable for the entire organization or not. But please make sure you click on this Learn More button and you read about it. What is it and what are the complications or what can be the limitation for this one. Snowflake SSO. This enable SSO compatibility for Snowflake. By enabling user access token information including name and email will be sent to Snowflake for authentication. If you would like to learn more, please learn more, but please make sure what you are going to do over here. I haven't used it, to be honest, but if you are using Snowflake connectivity, then probably you are going to need it. Use Azure Maps visual. So this was the another visual. I already created a video on this. You can find the link in the description section, as well as you can go on our YouTube channel and check the other videos. But it's up to you whether you want to use it or not. If you really like it, you can use it, and then you have to enable this setting over here. And lastly, integration with SharePoint and Microsoft List. This is a very unique feature, and if you would like to use it, please enable this. Because of these settings, users in the organization can launch Power BI from SharePoint List and Microsoft List. That means from the SharePoint itself, you can create your Power BI report based on those SharePoint lists, and then you can connect with your Power BI service account as well. Now let's talk about the next setting, that is the Power BI visuals. So here, the first setting is this: allow visuals created using the Power BI SDK. If you want to use the software development kit, then you can use this option. And second is add and use certified visuals only. That means if it's enabled, you cannot use uncertified Power BI visuals. Whenever we are going to get some of the visuals, that is the custom visuals from Microsoft or Visual Gallery or the app source account, then you have to make sure that's the certified visual. If it's a not certified one, then it's going to block it automatically. And I reckon on this point that you should enable it. Now, many of you are using R and Python language to create certain scripts and the visualizations, and we can definitely use them in Power BI. But if you really want to use them, then you have to enable this feature over here, which is going to help you to interact with and share R and Python visuals. Users in the organization can interact with and share visuals created with R or Python scripts. So make sure you enable it. Now we're going to discuss about audit and usage settings. Under this, the very first is create audit logs for internal activity, auditing and compliance. You have to enable it. Currently, you can see that I cannot even disable it. Only in Office 365 admin portal you can control this setting. Lately, I was working on a video and there I enabled it. I believe in my last video, I enabled it from my Office 365 admin portal and it's being enabled now, and you cannot disable it from here. So you have to control it from there only. Now, another is usage metrics for content creators, and then there is a per user data and usage metrics for content creators. We already discussed these settings in our previous video. So if you haven't watched that video, please go and watch that video again. In the dashboard settings, the very first option is web content on dashboard tiles. So whether you want to enable web content on your dashboard tiles or not, it's up to you, but it's going to help you to get the web data into your dashboards. Users in the organization can add and view web content tiles on Power BI dashboards. Note, this may expose your organization to security risk via malicious web content. And second is the data classification for dashboard. This is very important one, because in one of the previous video I already mentioned what is the classification for the dashboards. So whenever somebody is looking at the dashboard, they can get to know whether it's a financial dashboard, it's a management dashboard, or it's just a public data. So we can do this classification of different dashboards and reports as well. Now there are some other developer settings, like when we want to embed or we want to create embedded reports in Power BI, then we have to use these one. So you have to go one by one each of them if you are creating any of the reports that you are going to embed into any other application. So please make sure you enable or disable based on your own requirements, and you can come over here and you can read more about this one. Now there is an admin API settings. Allow service principal to use read-only Power BI admin APIs, which is currently in preview, and if you want to read more about it, you can come over here and you can read everything. But basically it's related to API. Whenever we are creating any third-party application, then we can use it. Dataflow settings. Create and use data flows. Whether you are going to allow your users in your organization to create a data flow or not, you can enable or disable these settings from here. The very first is publish template apps. So whether you are going to allow or not, it's up to you. You have to enable or disable this from here. Second is the installation one. That's also similarly whether you are going to allow your users to install template apps or not, it's up to you. You can control it over here. And lastly, install template apps not listed in the app source. That means from somewhere else somebody is gonna install it and it's not certified one. So you can also enable or disable this, but I'll strongly suggest you should disable it. Now there is a Q&A settings, which is the review question. It should be enabled so that whenever somebody is trying to get some information from your dashboards or the reports and they are not able to find it, so it would come under the review section and where you can go and you can manage that. So please make it enable. Data security settings, which is basically gonna say block, republish and disable package refresh. So you can enable or disable. Again, it's up to your organization policy. Now we have advanced networking settings. The very first is Azure private link. It's gonna increase security by allowing people to use a private link to access your Power BI content. Someone will need to finish the setup process in Azure. If that's not you, grant permission to the right person or the group by entering their email. So basically it's a security layer that you can use it, and it's an advanced networking process. So if you want to enable it, you can do it, and you can learn more after clicking over here, or even you can check the setup instructions. Second one is block public internet access. So if you don't want anyone to log in from any of the web and login into your Power BI and looking into your report, then you can block it from here. Otherwise, you can allow them, but you can set up the other security method like the multi-factor authentication. And lastly, there is a goal setting. So this is a new feature in Power BI which came just, I think, last month after the Microsoft Summit. And this goal settings is very important. It's gonna say create and use goals. Users in the organization can create and use their goals like the KPIs. You can enable or disable, again up to your organization policy, but always remember that this is currently in preview. It's not generally available. So guys, these were all the settings under tenant settings, and if you have any question regarding any of those settings, please mention it in the comment section and I will try to get back to you ASAP. In our upcoming video, we are going to discuss about capacity settings, embedded codes and organization visuals. So please make sure you subscribe our channel and hit the bell icon for the further updates. Stay tuned for more exciting videos, and you can connect with us using Facebook, Instagram or Twitter, as well as you can directly connect us using this email address connect@biconsultingpro.com, or you can reach out to our website, that is www.biconsultingpro.com.